Beloved soul, stop for a moment. Something in the unseen has been leaning toward your life, brushing against your spirit, trying to tell you a secret you've been too exhausted to hear. And when you saw the title of this message, something inside you tightened, didn't it? Because deep down you sensed it. You passed a test you didn't even know you were taking, a test most people fail. Listen to me. Heaven watched you. In the moments when you felt overlooked, in the nights when you cried quietly so no one would hear, in the days when you kept showing up, even though your strength was fraying at the edges. Chosen one, you didn't just survive those moments, you revealed your heart, and the Most High took notice. There is a holy reason you're here right now, at this exact breath. This is a divine appointment, not a coincidence. Your spirit brought you here before your mind even understood why. Hear this. The trial you thought was just life being unfair was actually a proving ground, a refinement, a spiritual assessment wrapped inside ordinary frustration. And while you assumed nothing was happening, heaven was watching how you moved through pressure, how you handled silence, how you carried yourself when no one applauded. Does that sound familiar? You weren't perfect, but you were faithful. You didn't lash out even when you were provoked. You didn't retaliate even when someone quietly tried to wound you. You didn't abandon your integrity even when you felt unseen. And that restraint, that purity, that steady heart became the evidence heaven needed. Chosen one, God is rewarding you, not someday. Now, Isaiah 43:19 says, Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? And the truth is, you've been sensing something shifting around you without knowing why. The atmosphere feels strange. Your emotions feel unsettled. Your spirit feels stirred. It's because the reward is already unfolding in the unseen. The breakthrough season you prayed for is already pressing its way toward you. But stay with me, because what you're about to hear next will explain why the test was given to you, what you unlocked by passing it, and the astonishing reward heaven has already released into your path. And before we go further, if this word is already resonating in your spirit, take a moment and subscribe. Not for me, but because staying connected to prophetic clarity protects your steps in seasons like this. Now breathe, because the revelation is only beginning. Because the revelation is only beginning. And what rises next in your spirit is not imagination, chosen one, but recognition. Something in you remembers the weight of that unseen test you walked through. You didn't know heaven was evaluating your heart, but your soul felt the pressure of it. The silent kind, the kind that settles in your chest late at night when the world is quiet and your thoughts get loud. You've carried wounds no one ever apologized for. You've endured betrayals you never told a single soul about. You've smiled through exhaustion because you didn't want anyone to worry. And yet, beneath that quiet strength, you've been wondering something you rarely admit. Why does it feel like I'm always being tested? Listen, you weren't imagining it. There were moments when the spiritual warfare around your life intensified so sharply that you felt it physically, a tightening in your jaw, a heaviness behind your eyes, that strange pressure in your spirit that made you inhale deeper than usual, as if your soul needed more air than your lungs could hold. Does that sound familiar? You kept showing kindness to people who didn't value you. You kept giving grace to people who took advantage of your silence. And heaven saw every moment you bit your tongue instead of striking back. This was the test. Not a test of knowledge. A test of character, a test of restraint, a test of heart posture under pressure. Most people fail this test because they react. You didn't. You endured. But endurance came with a price, didn't it? A quiet, invisible ache that sat in your soul like unanswered prayer. There were nights when you felt destiny delay pressing against your hopes, and you questioned whether God had forgotten you. You felt stuck, suspended between who you used to be and who you were called to become. You worried that maybe you had taken a wrong turn, missed the breakthrough timing, or somehow sabotaged your own path without realizing it. And then there were the financial blockages, the unexpected expenses, the opportunities that slipped through your fingers, the promises that dried up before they ever manifested. At one point, you whispered to yourself, "Why does everything feel harder for me?" You didn't know the test wasn't exposing your weakness. It was revealing your strength, a strength you forgot you had. But the deeper struggle wasn't the circumstances. It was the loneliness inside them. You stood in rooms full of people and still felt unseen. You helped others and went home feeling empty. You encouraged everyone else, while privately wrestling with doubts you didn't dare voice out loud. There's a wound you carry that few know about, a disappointment that shaped you more than you admit, a betrayal that shifted the way you love, trust, and hope. Someone you believed in failed you. Someone you protected misjudged you. Someone you held close treated your heart like it was optional. And yet you kept your integrity. You kept your compassion. You kept choosing light, even when shadows followed you. That was the test. And every time you resisted the urge to retaliate, every time you stayed soft instead of becoming hardened, every time you chose patience when anger would have been easier, you were passing an exam. Heaven never told you you were taking, but beneath your patience lived a private ache. A quiet question, one you've asked God in the privacy of your mind, never with your lips. If I'm doing everything right, why does it still feel like my life is moving in slow motion? Why do I feel delayed, restrained, held back by something I can't name? Because, chosen one, you weren't being delayed. You were being measured. You were being weighed on scales not of punishment, but of destiny. Every moment of restraint, every silent victory, every unseen act of goodness, they were all shifting something in the spirit, preparing something, aligning something. And while you walked through these hidden trials, feeling as if nothing was changing, the truth is, something was building. A divine reversal was forming around you, a breakthrough that required proof of your character before it could be released. An elevation that demanded a heart purified through endurance. And now the heavens are moving. Now the reward is unfolding. But before you receive what's coming, you must understand the real reason God tested you, the exact moment you passed, and the staggering blessing that activated when you did. Because, chosen one, what heaven is about to reveal next will explain everything that confused you, everything that broke you, and everything that is about to lift you into a realm you never knew you were being prepared for. And it begins with the truth about the person who stood closest to you in this season and never even realized they were part of the test. For many of you, that test wore a familiar face. It looked like family. It sounded like home. You've known since you were young that something about you did not fit in the environment you were born into. You loved them. You still do. But if you're honest, you often felt like the odd puzzle piece in a box that was never cut for your shape. You were the one who asked hard questions at the dinner table, the one who noticed what everyone tried to ignore, the one who spoke truth and then watched the room go heavy and quiet. They called you dramatic, too sensitive, too much. When you were just trying to be honest, you learned early that your voice carried a different frequency. You could sense things no one wanted to name. You picked up on tension before arguments happened. You felt the unspoken pain under people's jokes. You saw the cracks in the family image long before anyone was willing to admit they were there. And instead of being thanked for that sensitivity, you were labeled the problem, the rebel, the black sheep. Do you feel that? That sting in your chest when you remember being blamed for ruining the mood, when all you did was ask why everyone was pretending? That's not just memory. That's a wound that never fully healed. They told you to stop overthinking, to just let it go, to stop making everything spiritual. But what they called overthinking was often the Holy Spirit tugging at your discernment. What they dismissed as moodiness was the early evidence of your prophetic wiring, your destiny alignment, your calling to break generational patterns they had grown comfortable with. You were carrying a different blueprint, and it cost you. You learned to dim your light so they wouldn't be uncomfortable. You held back your opinions so you wouldn't get attacked. You shrank your dreams so no one would accuse you of being prideful. Your body remembers it. That knot in your stomach when certain relatives walk into the room. That automatic urge to scan the atmosphere, to calculate every word before you speak. Your nervous system has been on guard for years, trained to expect misunderstanding, to expect that if anything goes wrong, somehow it will be traced back to you. You got used to being the one pulled aside after family gatherings. You shouldn't have said that. You always start something. Why can't you just be normal? And secretly, there were nights you asked God, if you chose me, why does being chosen feel like being rejected? Listen, that question shook heaven. Because what you didn't know is that the enemy recognized your role as the cycle breaker long before your family did. The spiritual warfare over your life intensified inside the very place that was supposed to be your safest refuge, not because you are cursed, but because you were born to confront the generational curse, to end the quiet agreement with dysfunction, to refuse the silence that protected trauma instead of healing it. So they called you the black sheep, but in the courts of heaven, you were being marked as the firstborn of a new line. And that misunderstanding, that constant accusation, was part of the test. Would you harden and become bitter? Or would you stay soft enough for God to still flow through you? Would you turn your back on them completely? Or would you let God teach you boundaries without losing your compassion? You wrestled with it alone. You rehearsed conversations in your mind you never got to have. You tried again and again to explain your heart, only to feel like you were speaking a language no one else bothered to learn. If any of that is piercing you right now, I want you to do something bold. In the comments, quietly write, I passed the hidden family test, not for me, as a way of sealing what heaven already knows about you, as a way of saying, God, I agree with the verdict you made about my heart. Because even when they misunderstood you, heaven did not. And that misunderstanding didn't just stay inside the house, did it? It followed you into the way you began to move through the world, into the way you handled friendships, into the way you walked straight into a season that felt like you disappeared on purpose. There came a point where the noise became too much. The opinions, the constant explaining, the feeling of being observed but never truly seen. So you started pulling back, not loudly, quietly. You stopped replying right away. You stopped posting as much. Certain group chats went silent on your end. You thought, I just need a break from people. But it was deeper than that. It was as if an invisible hand started canceling plans for you. People you were once close to drifted for no clear reason. Invitations slowed down. Environments that used to feel fun started to feel suffocating. Songs you used to love suddenly sounded empty. The shows you binged for comfort started to feel like static. The parties, the gatherings, the constant scrolling. It all started to taste like cardboard. You thought you were falling into depression, but something holier was happening. God was pulling you into what I call the cocoon. The holy hermit phase. You didn't have language for it. You just knew your soul was tired of performing. You were exhausted from pretending you were okay. You were tired of laughing at jokes that didn't touch your spirit. So one day, almost without thinking, you stayed home. Then you did it again and again. Your phone lit up and you turned it over instead of answering. You stared at social media and felt like a ghost watching everyone else live. You sat in your room and felt that strange mix of relief and guilt all at once. There were days you woke up and felt a heavy blanket of silence around you. No urgent texts, no one needing you urgently, no emotional fires to put out, and instead of feeling free, you felt empty. Did everyone forget about me? Did I do something wrong? Why do I feel abandoned? But listen closely. You were not abandoned. You were being hidden. Heaven was tucking you away, not as punishment, but as protection. Some of the connections you were crying over were actually low-frequency attachments blocking your destiny alignment. Some of the environments you missed were quietly feeding your insecurity and spiritual fatigue. In that hermit phase, God began rearranging your inner world. He started exposing the thought patterns that kept you in cycles of people-pleasing. He started nudging you to confront questions you had outrun for years. Questions about who you really are, what you really want, what abundance and generational wealth mindset truly mean for you beyond just paying bills and surviving. Your body felt it as withdrawal. Your soul felt it as detox. There were nights you sat on the edge of your bed with your phone in your hand, hovering over old contacts, feeling that urge to reach out to someone you knew wasn't good for you, just to fill the silence. That was a spiritual warfare moment, a test at the level of your habits. Would you run back to the familiar pain, or would you let God hold you in the unfamiliar quiet? Every time you chose the quiet, you didn't know you were passing another part of the exam, the one that decides whether you are ready for new relationships, for higher levels of influence, for destiny connections that won't crumble under pressure. Because what God is preparing to entrust to you in this breakthrough timing, the divine intervention He is orchestrating in your finances, in your purpose, in your emotional healing, it requires someone who is no longer addicted to noise, someone who can hear Him when He whispers, someone who no longer confuses chaos with connection. So the hermit season deepened, your sleep changed, your appetite shifted, your desires started to feel strange to you. Things that used to thrill you suddenly felt small. You sensed there was more, but you couldn't name it yet. You felt like you were standing in a hallway with every old door closed and no new door visible yet. That hallway was the cocoon, the in-between, the place where caterpillars dissolve before they ever fly. And while you sat in that in-between, judging yourself, calling yourself lazy, calling yourself unmotivated, thinking you had failed, heaven was watching in awe. Because you were not decaying, you were transforming. Your old identity, tied to constant approval and over-functioning, was being dissolved so a new structure could be built. The kind of structure that can carry promotion, the kind of structure that can stand under wealth, influence, and spiritual authority without collapsing. But the enemy didn't back off in that cocoon. He whispered louder. He used the silence to echo your old labels back at you. See, no one needs you. You're not important. God forgot about you. You felt it in your chest, like a slow, creeping pressure. You scrolled aimlessly just to feel something. You questioned your worth when messages stayed unread. You wondered if your calling had expired because life felt like it was on pause. What you didn't see was that this pause was righteous. This stop was sacred. This stillness was your protection from a path that would have led you straight into another trap. And the same God who allowed your phone to go quiet, who allowed certain doors to stay shut, is the same God who is now preparing to knock on the door of your cocoon with a new assignment, a divine reversal, a level of destiny alignment You are only just beginning to sense in your spirit, because the next layer of this test, the one that truly marks the moment where the reward began to pour out, is tied to the exact hour when your silence was interrupted by the very moment heaven leaned close and said, "Now watch what I make of the one who refused to break." Because, chosen one, everything you've walked through up to this point, every midnight battle, every destiny delay, every financial blockage that made no sense, every silent betrayal you swallowed, every moment where spiritual warfare sat heavy on your chest, none of it happened in isolation. Not a single tear fell outside God's curriculum. Yes, curriculum, because you weren't being punished. You were being trained. Look at your life through heaven's eyes for a moment. The isolation shaped your discernment. The betrayal sharpened your intuition. The financial strain refined your stewardship. The silence trained your spiritual hearing. The delays toughened your resilience. The heartbreak expanded your compassion. The warfare strengthened your authority. Piece by piece, storm by storm, test by test, God was constructing in you the kind of character that cannot be bought, faked, or imitated. The kind of authority that only comes from walking through fire and learning to breathe in the smoke. The kind of inner fortitude required to carry the elevation, abundance, and generational wealth mantle that is about to break open over your life. You weren't just enduring, you were qualifying. Heaven does not hand heavy crowns to fragile spirits. It builds durable vessels forged in nights like yours. Do you understand now why the pressure was so intense? Why the attacks came in waves? Why the loneliness felt surgical, almost intentional? Because it was intentional. Heaven was refining you for high-level destiny alignment. And here is the part that shakes the soul. The enemy attacked you hardest in the exact areas God prepared to bless you most. Where there was financial blockage, wealth is coming. Where there was relational betrayal, covenant connections are forming. Where there was emotional exhaustion, supernatural strength is rising. Where there was delay, divine acceleration is already in motion. You passed a test most people fail. You stayed soft. You stayed kind. You stayed obedient in the dark. And heaven recorded everything. If your spirit feels this truth resonating right now, take a breath, and if you believe God is preparing to restore to you double everything the enemy tried to drain, delay, or destroy, tap that subscribe button and like this message as your prophetic declaration. Not for me, for alignment, for agreement, for activation. Because the reward phase has begun, the shift is already underway. And the next part of this message will show you exactly how to walk into it. But before heaven releases you into elevation, before the blessing breaks into your physical world, before the reversal hits every area of your life, there is something critical you must understand. You have endured enough. And now God says, it is time to strike back. He has given me the most precise and divinely revealed strategies, the framework, the blueprint, the spiritual weapons, the pathway, the set of instructions that will empower you to overturn this battle starting tonight. And the first of these is already stirring in your spirit, rising like a command. Your soul recognizes even before your mind interprets it. Because now that heaven has declared you past the test, your next assignment is to walk like someone who has been approved. And that begins with the first protocol, the protocol of inner governance. This is where everything shifts. God is saying, control your atmosphere before you try to control your outcome. Do this immediately. Reclaim the territory of your inner world. Every morning, before you touch your phone, before you read a single message, place your hand on your chest and say, my spirit leads today, not my emotions. You must understand that spiritual warfare intensifies around chosen ones who are entering destiny acceleration. The enemy rarely starts with circumstances. He starts with your mood, your mental tone, the first thought of your day. So you must establish spiritual authority over your internal climate. Stop letting anxiety narrate your morning. Stop letting old voices dictate your worth. Stop letting the residue of betrayal shape your decisions. When a fearful or sabotaging thought rises, interrupt it immediately with a short truth. This is not my voice. This is not God's voice. I reject it. That one interruption breaks generational curses of negative patterning. It rewires your alignment. It opens the path for clarity of purpose. If you do this consistently, heaven will trust you with more, because you are proving that your inner world is no longer free real estate for the enemy to trespass. The protocol of selective access. Hear me clearly. This is not about isolation. This is about discernment. God is revealing that the greatest delays in your life did not come from lack of talent or lack of faith. They came from giving the wrong people too much access to your peace, your plans, your prophetic sensitivity. From this moment on, you must implement what I call the gate of two questions. Before you share anything, your dreams, your ideas, your struggles, pause and ask, does this person increase my clarity or increase my confusion? Does this person pull me toward purpose or away from alignment? If the answer to either question is unclear, heaven is saying they do not have clearance for this next chapter. Do not justify their behavior. Do not keep them in proximity out of guilt. Emotional loyalty cannot outweigh spiritual assignment. Chosen ones often experience destiny delays because they try to carry people God never instructed them to carry. And every time you defend someone who drains you, you forfeit energy meant for your elevation. This is why divine acceleration hasn't fully manifested yet. Apply this strictly. Guard your mind, guard your time, guard your spiritual bandwidth. You are stepping into financial breakthrough, relational restoration, and higher calling. You cannot allow low-frequency voices to narrate a high-frequency destiny. The protocol of activated expectation. This is the shift that most people overlook, yet it is the very one that breaks open the floodgates of divine intervention. God is saying, you have mastered endurance, but now I need you to master expectation. You pass the test through suffering, yes, but your reward is unlocked through posture. Each day, you must act as if the answer has already left heaven. Expect favor. Expect acceleration. Expect divine alignment. Here's how you practice this. Speak one sentence every time you feel worry creeping in. Something good is already moving toward me. This rewires your spiritual atmosphere. This summons angelic movement. This breaks the final layer of delay that clings to those who have survived long seasons of warfare. And then take one small physical action of faith daily. Clean a space in your home as if preparing for a blessing. Update an old document as if preparing for opportunity. Check an email folder as if expecting good news. Heaven responds to motion. Angels respond to anticipation. And the moment your expectation rises to match your assignment, you trigger the very blueprint God designed to activate the next stage of your rise. And now, heaven is urging you to step into the next set of protocols that secure your acceleration in the spirit and in the natural. The midnight cry. Listen closely. There is a reason your spirit often stirs at night. There is a reason you wake up between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., heart beating, mind alert, as if something is calling your name from beyond the room. That is not insomnia. That is not anxiety. That is summoning. This is the hour when spiritual warfare intensifies, and when the veil between heaven and earth thins. In this season, God is instructing you to rise quietly, without turning on the lights, without distracting your mind, and simply sit on the edge of your bed and breathe his name. You do not have to pray long. You only have to pray real. Turn your tears into your warfare weapon. Say, Lord, I am here. Speak, and then wait. This breakthrough timing requires you to step into the watchman anointing, because the enemy launches most of his interference during the night. Confusion, fear, generational curse, activation, anxiety spikes, strange dreams. But when you rise at that hour, you interrupt his access, you break his patterns, you reclaim your spiritual authority. And if this resonates with something you've secretly felt in your own nights, comment, I refuse to sleep through my breakthrough. Let heaven see your agreement. The toxic detox. Now hear this with the weight it deserves. Elevation requires elimination. You cannot carry everyone into the next chapter, and God is no longer allowing emotional attachments to sabotage your divine alignment. This protocol demands courage. It means stepping back from people whose presence drains your clarity, steals your peace, or constantly pulls you into cycles of doubt, jealousy, or stagnation. You already know the names that rise in your spirit when I say this. The heavy ones, the chaotic ones, the ones who apologize but never change, the ones who claim they love you but secretly fear your growth. Chosen one. Destiny acceleration cannot occur in polluted soil. Your spirit needs clean air to breathe. This season requires spiritual firewalls, intentional distance, and sometimes complete disconnection. Pray this simple line before making any relational decision. Lord, show me who cannot go with me. Then trust the discomfort that follows, because discomfort is often God's first clue that a connection has expired. Every time you release the wrong person, you make room for the right door. Every time you distance from a draining voice, you amplify divine instruction. Every time you detox spiritually, your blessing moves closer. The altar of praise. And now, the atmosphere shifts. This third strategy is one of heaven's most underestimated weapons, yet it carries the power to break spiritual warfare instantly. Praise is not a song. Praise is a sword. Praise is the sound that confuses hell, resets your emotional equilibrium, and unlocks wealth transfer in the spirit, because it signals that you trust God's timing even before you see results. Here's what you must do. Choose one song, one phrase, or even one sentence that lifts your spirit toward God, and speak it aloud the moment heaviness tries to return. The second you feel discouragement, whisper your praise. When fear rises, sing your praise. When loneliness triggers your memory, breathe your praise. The goal is not volume, the goal is alignment. Something supernatural happens when you praise during a storm. The enemy loses his legal right to stay attached to your atmosphere. Praise breaks mental fog. Praise dismantles anxiety. Praise interrupts cycles that have plagued your bloodline for generations. And when you build this altar daily, your environment becomes too bright for darkness to hide, too warm for despair to settle, too guarded for sabotage to enter. And now that these three protocols have been released into your hands, heaven is already preparing to unveil the next layer. Because what comes after this is the next revelation your spirit has been waiting for. Because once praise becomes your atmosphere, heaven begins to clear the path for instruction, and that is where these next strategies rise like pillars beneath your feet. The prophetic decree. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every spiritual journey when asking is no longer enough. You have prayed, you have wept, you have waited, you have surrendered. But now God says, open your mouth and command the shift. This is not arrogance. This is spiritual authority. Jesus did not tell his followers to beg the mountain. He said, speak to it. This is the moment you stop pleading for breakthrough and begin declaring breakthrough. When anxiety rises, speak to it. When financial blockage appears, speak to it. When generational curses try to reactivate, speak to them with the authority heaven has already placed on your life. Say it aloud. I dismantle every assignment against my destiny. The atmosphere listens. Darkness listens. Your own DNA listens. Every morning, release 3 decrees related to your future. Not wishes, not hopes. Decrees. Your words are spiritual weapons, and when you aim them with intention, you carve a new path through the unseen. The fasting breakthrough. There are moments when prayer alone softens the ground, but fasting breaks it open. Fasting is not punishment, it is purification. It sharpens your spiritual frequency so you can hear divine instruction without interference. When your spirit feels foggy, when your clarity feels blocked, when your emotions feel heavier than your faith, fasting is the spiritual reset that pushes you back into divine alignment. You don't have to begin with long fasts. Start small. Skip a meal and dedicate that hour to silence before God. Remove sugar for a week. Release heavy foods that slow your body and your discernment. Many chosen ones do not realize their destiny acceleration is being delayed not by demons, but by distraction, food, media, noise. Fasting cuts these cords. It recalibrates your spirit. It sharpens your intuition. It amplifies every prophetic instruction sent your way. And if you feel this is something your soul has been nudging you toward, comment the phrase, Lord, sharpen my spirit. Let that be your agreement in the unseen realm, the circle of silence. Now listen carefully. This may be the most important strategy yet. Not everyone who claps for you is safe. Not everyone who listens is loyal. And not everyone who smiles at your vision was sent to support it. In this season, heaven is commanding you to enter what I call the circle of silence. This means protecting your plans the same way a seed protects its sprout, hidden, covered, shielded from premature exposure. The enemy cannot sabotage what he cannot see. Many of your past delays came from sharing too soon with people who carried insecurity, jealousy, or spiritual contamination. You must keep your next move between you and God until the roots are deep enough to survive scrutiny. Speak less, move more, build in private, birth in secret. You are stepping into a level of wealth transfer, influence, and divine timing, where one wrong conversation can destabilize everything heaven is aligning. Protect your dreams the way Mary protected the prophecy inside her, pondering it in her heart, not posting it for the world. Because what comes next requires a level of spiritual maturity and disciplined silence that prepares you for the level of stewardship heaven is preparing to entrust to you. Because once your dreams are protected, once your spirit is sharpened, and once your atmosphere is guarded, God begins to deal with the structures that support your destiny. And that is where the next strategies rise like scaffolding around your future. The protocol of first fruits. Hear me clearly. Your first hour of the day is the most spiritually valuable hour you possess. It is the steering wheel of your destiny. What you do in that first hour determines the spiritual direction of the next 23, and many chosen ones unknowingly sabotage their own alignment by waking up and feeding their soul with noise, scrolling, notifications, news, distractions that dilute prophetic instruction before it has time to land. God is calling you to reclaim that hour. When your feet touch the floor, do not reach for your phone. Reach for your breath. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, "Guide me today, Lord. Align my steps with what heaven has already written." Even 5 minutes of stillness in His presence opens the gates of divine alignment and clears away the residue of dreams, warfare, and subconscious fear. This is how you realign your purpose every morning, how you sharpen your discernment, how you stop the enemy from planting seeds of defeat before your day even begins. If something in you is already responding, stop and comment, "My first hour belongs to God." Let your spirit mark that commitment. The environment shift. Chosen one, listen. The physical space around you is not neutral. Environments hold memory. Clutter holds spiritual dust. Disorder holds emotional residue. And some of the warfare you've been feeling, especially the heaviness, the fog, the unexplained agitation, has been amplified by the state of your environment. When heaven prepares you for financial breakthrough, wealth transfer, and destiny acceleration, the first thing it requires is order. You must clean the space where the blessing will land. That means clearing old papers, emptying drawers, washing the corners of the room no one sees, donating what no longer carries life, and refreshing the areas where you pray, work, and rest. As you clean, speak this aloud. Every old cycle breaks as I make room for the new. Because this is not housekeeping, this is prophetic housekeeping. You are removing the energetic remnants of past seasons, past heartbreaks, past delays. When you shift the environment, you shift the atmosphere. And when you shift the atmosphere, heaven can move freely. The embargo on negative speech. This strategy is the one that catches most chosen ones by surprise. You have been under so much pressure, so much warfare, so much exhaustion, that negativity has slipped into your vocabulary without you realizing the spiritual cost. Every complaint, every self-criticism, every "I'm tired of this," every "nothing ever works out." These are not harmless sentences. These are contracts. Words are spiritual currency, and the enemy has been using your frustration to trick you into funding the very cycles you're trying to escape. So heaven is placing a new law over your tongue. Speak only what builds, never what buries. When frustration rises, pause. When discouragement hits, breathe. Replace "nothing is happening" with "God is moving even when I don't see it." Replace "I'm stuck" with "my steps are being redirected." Replace "I can't take this anymore" with "strength is rising in me." This embargo marks the beginning of your transformation. When your language shifts, your atmosphere shifts. When your atmosphere shifts, your timeline shifts. When your timeline shifts, destiny acceleration activates. And what comes next requires a level of precision in the spirit that only a few are willing to walk in, because the next instruction sharpens your forward motion. Now that your words are aligned, your space is cleansed, and your mornings belong to God, heaven begins to deal with the inputs shaping your spirit, what enters through your eyes, your ears, and your emotional gates. These next strategies are about strengthening the walls around your destiny, so nothing weakens the structure God is building in you. The vision audit. Chosen one, your spirit is far more sensitive than the average person's. What others can watch casually, you absorb deeply. What others dismiss as entertainment, your spirit registers as atmosphere. This is why God is calling you to a vision audit. You must begin controlling what you consume visually and emotionally. If a movie leaves your spirit heavy, turn it off. If certain music stirs old wounds, silence it. If social media pulls you into comparison, close the app. Your eyes are gates, and gates decide what has permission to enter. Do this. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what did I watch or hear that weakened me, and what strengthened me? Then adjust ruthlessly. This is not restricting your life, it is protecting your alignment. A mind filled with noise cannot hear prophetic instruction. A soul filled with chaos cannot recognize destiny acceleration. And if you feel this truth pressing on you, whisper it in the comments. My eyes will guard my destiny. the forgiveness release. Now listen with your spirit, not just your ears. Forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about breaking the spiritual chains wrapped around you. Many of the delays you've battled, many of the generational curses trying to reattach themselves, many of the emotional blockages you've felt in your chest did not come from demons. They came from old wounds you're still holding. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the prison and reveals that you were the only one inside. This doesn't mean what they did was right. It doesn't mean you trust them again. It means you release the emotional debt so you can walk into financial breakthrough, spiritual authority, and mental peace. Here is how you do it. Speak their name quietly, not loudly, not with anger, and say, "I release you. You no longer have spiritual access to me." You will feel the atmosphere shift. You will feel your chest lighten. Heaven cannot pour new blessings into hands clenched around old pain. Forgiveness opens your hands. It clears your path. It breaks the contract the enemy used to hold you back. The kingdom audit. This may surprise you, but God always addresses your finances when you enter a season of rising. Not because he needs your money, but because your money reveals the architecture of your priorities. If your finances are chaotic, your destiny feels chaotic. If your spending lacks intention, your purpose loses traction. God is calling you to conduct a kingdom audit. Pull out your bank statements, look at every subscription, every purchase, every payment. Ask yourself, does this honor who I'm becoming? Remove what was born from stress, boredom, insecurity, or impulse. Redirect your finances toward what builds your calling. When you steward well, you prepare the ground for wealth transfer. When you eliminate waste, you signal to heaven that you are ready for financial breakthrough. When you organize your resources, you break the spirit of lack off your lineage. God cannot bless what you are unwilling to manage. And as you clean your financial atmosphere, you will begin to sense an opening, a quiet shift in the unseen, as heaven prepares you for. Because once heaven releases instruction, the greatest danger is not ignorance, it is inconsistency. Chosen one, hear this with the weight of eternity. Knowing what to do will not shift your life. Doing it long enough for heaven to recognize your rhythm is what breaks open destiny alignment. Because once heaven releases instruction, the greatest danger is not ignorance, it is inconsistency. Chosen one, hear this with the weight of eternity. Knowing what to do will not shift your life. Doing it long enough for heaven to recognize your rhythm is what breaks open destiny alignment. The enemy is not afraid of a believer who starts strong. He is terrified of a believer who continues. This is why, every time you rise in authority, you feel sudden fatigue. Every time you commit to a new spiritual discipline, a distraction appears. Every time you begin to shift your atmosphere, something tries to pull you back into old patterns. Not because you're weak, but because consistency is the lever that moves mountains, unlocks financial breakthrough, dismantles spiritual warfare, and breaks generational cycles that have stood for decades. Most people burn bright for 3 days and then flicker out. The enemy can wait 3 days. He knows human willpower is fragile. He knows motivation fades. He knows excitement dies. Empires collapse not because the blueprint was flawed, but because the builders stopped showing up. And this is where heaven separates the interested from the assigned. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about refusal. Refusing to go back. Refusing to shrink. Refusing to forget who you are on days when you feel nothing. Refusing to let your fire cool because the world around you feels cold. But listen closely. You are not expected to sustain this alone. Your strength is not the engine. The Holy Spirit is. Your willpower will run out. Your discipline will wobble. Your emotions will rise and fall like tides. But the spirit within you does not fluctuate. He does not exhaust. He does not retreat. He does not break under pressure. If you let him, he will become your breath when you feel empty, your clarity when you feel confused, your stability when spiritual warfare tries to shake you, your confidence when destiny acceleration feels overwhelming. Invite him each morning. Lean on him each night. Whisper to him throughout the day. Your consistency will not come from your strength, it will come from your surrender. And now, everything is converging. The atmosphere around you is shifting, because heaven is preparing the final transition. All these weapons have now been placed in your hands, but there is one final key that activates them. Without this key, nothing ignites. That key is the sealing prayer. We are about to step into the Holy of Holies. Prepare your heart, and now, beloved, let the atmosphere shift. Slow your breathing. Loosen your shoulders. Let the noise inside you fall to the edges of the room, because we are stepping into a place where heaven leans close, a place where whispers carry more weight than shouts, a place where every word becomes a seed, and every breath becomes an offering. Before we move further, do this with me. Gently place your hand over your heart. Close your eyes just for a moment. Let your other hand rest open, as if you are ready to receive something holy. Feel the stillness settling around you. Feel the light pressing in. Feel the presence drawing near. Yes, stay right there. This is the posture of surrender. This is the posture of alignment. This is the posture of someone who passed a test they never knew they were taking. Now, in this tender space, we call upon the one whose name fits this moment, because this message is about endurance, warfare, testing, protection, so we do not call him softly. We call him by his name of power, the Lord of hosts, commander of angelic armies, keeper of every battle fought in silence, the one who defended this chosen one even when they felt defenseless. We call on you now, Lord of hosts. We thank you. With quiet reverence, with trembling gratitude, we thank you. Thank you for watching over this beloved soul in every sleepless night. Thank you for guarding them in moments where they had no strength left to guard themselves. Thank you for every unseen victory, for every invisible shield, for every time the attack formed but did not prosper. Thank you for the tests that revealed their character, for the storms that exposed their endurance, for the pressure that proved their purity, for the silence that taught them to hear your whisper. Lord of hosts, we bring this heart before you now, a heart that survived much, a heart that stayed soft when it could have hardened, a heart that remained faithful when it could have fractured. Lay your hand upon them now. Let them feel the warmth of your presence press against the place where the wounds once lived. Let them feel you breathing strength into the cracks that life carved into them. Let them feel the reassurance that the test is over and the reward is unfolding even as we speak. Draw near to them in this sacred moment. Wrap them in the stillness of your wings. Quiet the storms inside them. Settle the tremors of fear lodged in their chest. Lift the residue of every old attack that tried to cling to their spirit. Lord of hosts, look upon this chosen vessel and remember every tear they cried in secret. Let none of it be wasted. Let every tear become a seed of breakthrough. Let every hardship become a stepping stone toward their elevation. And as we stand in your presence, as this chosen one stands on holy ground, we ask that you begin releasing the reward assigned to their endurance, the restoration, the breakthrough, the divine reversal, the acceleration ordained for those who refuse to bow under pressure. But Lord, before you release the fullness of that blessing, seal their spirit, seal their mind, Seal their atmosphere, seal their path, seal their name in the courts of heaven with fresh oil, fresh authority, fresh protection. We step deeper now into your light, into your covering, into your holy fire. And in this sacred chamber where heaven is listening, where angels stand still, where your presence thickens like breath over water, we ask you to begin pouring out the seal, the divine covering, the protection that cannot be shaken by warfare, the blessing that cannot be sabotaged by enemies, the destiny that cannot be delayed another day. We are here. We are ready. We are surrendered. We are listening as you begin to pour out the blessing that was written with their name on it long before they ever faced the battle, long before the test, long before the tears. And now, Lord of hosts, with all reverence, with all surrender, with all expectation, we seal this moment. It is done. It is established. It is sealed in the courts of heaven. Chosen one, breathe. You are covered. You are aligned. You are stepping out of this moment with more than you carried into it. The seal is upon you. Now listen to me gently. Stay connected to this flow. Stay connected to this voice. Stay connected to what heaven is unfolding over your life. Subscribe so you never miss the next instruction that God releases for your journey. This isn't a button, it's a spiritual lifeline. And if this word touched you, if you felt heaven's whisper settle into your spirit, if this prayer marked something sacred inside you, then for some of you, God may nudge your heart to place a stone of remembrance, a symbolic gesture saying, this was the day everything shifted. If you choose to do that through super thanks, let it be a moment of worship, not payment. A personal altar you raise to mark the turning point of your destiny. Whether you give or simply receive, know this. Heaven saw you tonight. Heaven fought for you. Heaven rewarded you. Walk softly now. You are stepping into a new atmosphere. And, beloved, you are walking into your destiny. God is moving.